Welcome to your first ever Inventor tutorial. I know that you're as excited as I am to teach you as you are to learn. Boy, doesn't that sound convincing. I hope this is a lot of fun. Actually, I love this program. You can do almost anything you can imagine and make and create on here. That's an object that you can use, an everyday object. Everything on here is called a part. So we're going to learn how to make parts. So this is what we're going to make today. This is very, very basic. I'm going to walk you through slowly on this one, and hopefully you don't have too many little pauses and hiccups and little things like that. But we're doing something a little different this year. So what I've done is there's a lot of information on here, and I want to make sure that you know that I know that you know what's going on. So we are going to go through this. So I'm going to try to make these for some of the videos. It won't be for all. The stuff you don't turn in, you'll most likely have a little worksheet. And that way, I know we're all on the same page. Because I'm not standing over your shoulder. I just don't want you to speed through this because you think you know everything. Because there's little things that you'll learn as you go through this. All my old videos were based off of pre-2019, and the interface has changed a lot. I'm going to go into more detail on things I have usually not done in the past. So slow down, and also with remote learning being a thing, this might not be a bad idea. So you'll find this on your Google Classroom, which this is the first year I'm using it. If this is 5 years from now, well, this is the 5th year I'm using it. So we'll see how this goes. All right. So when you first load up Inventor, so this is the part I'm going to make. I'm actually going to minimize this so I don't. Hey, look, this little creature I 3D printed a little while ago. Okay, Inventor is a yellow eye on your screen. Boy, I cannot find mine. I must have erased my icon. Oh, no, there it is. So that's Inventor. So I'll go ahead and open it up. Now, when you open yours up for the very first time, number one, it's going to take a few minutes. Your system is probably doing the settings and all the fancy stuff that makes Inventor possible. So, as I'm babbling on here for a few seconds, and when you get loaded for the first time, you will not get this. I tried to do something fancy and it failed. Alright? So, you'll probably get a screen that will look a little different from mine. That'll probably say, get started or learn. You want to go get started. Once you click that, you will never see it again. Okay? So I'm going to go back and forth here in between the worksheet and this. This video might take 2 different videos to actually get through because I'm going to go really slow. So the first one is learning to create a file or to create a part. So here's what you're going to do. To create a part, sorry about that, you're going to hit New. Okay, so once you go through this, so these are the different things you can make. Yours will probably look something like this. You want to move this down. If you do click on the E in US, it'll default into inches. I like just clicking right on English so I can see all my different options too. Okay, so the number one thing you need to know right now is to get started, you want to click the standard in.ipt. This is what you use to get started. If you clicked it already, don't worry, just listen to me for a minute. We're going to go over a lot of this stuff later. This is where you do an assembly. So if you have a bunch of different pieces you have to put together, this is how you do that. This drawing thing, this is how you make a sheet. So if you have to give a handout, if you have to have a schematic for something, this is what you use. I'm using my hands as I'm talking, and you can't see it. I'm nuts. Anyway, the last word is the standard in.ipn. What that does is that pulls a piece apart, which if you've ever seen a Lego instruction or any instructions whatsoever, you see where it's pulled apart and then it kind of all goes back in. Well, that's what that is. But for right now, to answer your first question on your sheet, as you look up here, so oops, that's the wrong one. I apologize for that. So what do you click to get started? The standard in.ipt. So we'll go ahead and write that down. I'm not going to go back and forth on each question. That's going to take me all day if I choose to do that. So double click this and let it load. Might take a minute, but that's okay. You can always pause and rewind and things like that in these videos. It's a good thing about this. Okay, next thing, and I'm just doing this because I need to make sure I'm doing this in the right order because I made this thing, is the interface. So I want you to label these. Okay, so let me go through these for a quick second. Okay, so this is your graphics menu or your drawing screen. So just put down graphics area, please. This is your model browser. This used to be called project browser. It now says model on it. You can put down either model or project browser. It both works for me. This is your ribbon right here, and right up here, this eye and this file is called the, this right here is called the application menu, where the file is located at. And this will allow you to change some options, which we're going to do here in just a second. So, graphics window, model, ribbon, your file menu. Also, you can call this the application options too. Okay, so you got that down. Okay, next thing before we get going on anything, there's a problem with your mouse. No, it's not running away and eating cheese. Your mouse, the cursor will go in the wrong direction, and we need to fix that. So here's how you do this. This is a question also on your sheet. You go File. You're going to go down to the Options menu. The answer to the question is Display. So right down here it says Reverse Direction. Make sure that's clicked, because otherwise you're probably used to the zoom going the other way, and if you don't, it's going to go the wrong way, and you just are not going to like it. So please go ahead and fix that for me. I would appreciate it. Thank you. So now that that's fixed, I'm going to go over to the video that's done, just so I can show you something. Your model browser, the function of this, now this is the next question if you want to go back and forth. This shows a history of what you've done. Also, it allows you to be able to go back and change things if you need to. It's a really handy tool, but make sure you keep this in mind. Sometimes what you do in the past affects your future, but sometimes you can change the past and it won't affect your future. All depends on what you're doing. You'll learn that as you go through more complex drawings and things. So this is your model browser. Now, the number one question I get every year, and someone freaks out about it, is, oh no, Mr. Wythe, or oh no, Wythe, I just closed this down. How do I get it back? Well, there's this little plus right here. You just re-click model browser and it comes right back. This is so handy. All right. The other way of doing this is there is a view toolbar here, and then you can go, this one takes a look to user interface, and it'll say model browser here. So that does the exact same thing. So it's that little plus up here that will do it. So just click the plus and you get it back. It's really handy. Don't close this out. You always need this open. I know you want your full screen to draw on, but this is probably the most important tool, guiding tool, that you will constantly use to go back and change things. So, especially when we start to do some 3D printing and some 3D modeling on some more complex stuff, you will learn that this is a really handy thing to have. You just got to make one change to one thing. So, here we go. So enough chit-chatting, let's do some stuff. All right, so in order to start, you're going to click on this little thing that says Start 2D Sketch. Now, these are planes. Not the type that fly, but the type that you probably talk about in your geometry class. No, we're not going to start doing geometry, so don't freak out on me. All right, there's two different ways to start this. One, you can go over here to the plus by the origin. I use this a lot, and you can just hover over these, and you can click on these. Don't do it yet. The other one you can do is you can just click on it. Now, the most common plane I use, this is on the little sheet, is the XY plane. Why? Because that's a flat surface. You might think it's this one. It's not. So if you're trying to 3D print something and you want to go from the ground up, you're on the XY plane. Okay, so I almost always be able to click this. Okay, we're going to make a rectangle. Okay, real quick, just a little bit of overview of this. We're going to go into more detail on this later on. I'm not going to worry about this just yet. All these things here are called your constraints. This gets really complicated, but it really makes your drawings much easier when you're trying to tighten things up a little bit and make it be a lot more accurate and lining up your objects and things like that. Okay, here's your modification tools, your trim, your stretch, your offsets, your copies, everything else. Okay, your project geometry, I'll explain that later. I don't want to confuse you too much too soon. Okay, we're going to hit rectangle. I always like to start at the origin point, which is this little dot right here. This is 0, 0. All right. So I click here, left click here, and I move my mouse out. Now, zoom out a little bit. Okay. And if you press tab, this is on that little worksheet, you can go back and forth like this. Okay. I'm going to go 5 on the bottom. Now, I did not press backspace. I just pressed the number. You do not need an inch symbol. You just need the number. Okay. So I press tab again, and I go 3, and I press enter, and that's it. Do not put in the inch symbol. You will have problems. Okay. But I realized right off the bat that I made a mistake. I did that on purpose. It shouldn't be 5, 3. It should, or 5 and 3. It should be, this one should be 5, and this one should be 3. I want to teach you how to change stuff. Okay. So here's how you change it. You double click on the number, you type in 5 and enter, and it's changed. Okay. You click on the bottom one. I want this to be 3. 3 and press enter, and now we're good. To pan. Okay. You might hear this. I'm pressing down on the mouse button. Okay. Ignore what I just said there. You can pan around and move your object. To zoom, it's your scroll. If you ever zoom in too far, double click on your scroll, and it does a zoom all, which just centers everything right back in your screen. So if you ever have to zoom, that's how you do it. Okay. Once you're finished with your drawing, hit Finish Sketch. And then you're good to go. Okay. Now you're in the 3D modeling world. The most common thing you use right after you make a sketch is called extrude. Okay. It creates the body of the object itself. Okay, there are a bunch of different options under here. I'm going to go over a few of them real quick. First off, we have your behavior. This is not on the worksheet. This is something I'm showing you for right now. You can do a symmetric, so it goes both ways. You even can do a non-uniforms or an asymmetric, where it's different sizes. We're just going to go with the direction right here. Okay? So we're going to go 0.5. And press enter. And press OK. Okay? That's it. You just did that. I know. Aren't you cool? Okay, so next thing. This video is going to be 2 parts. Sorry about that, but there's just a lot of detail on it. I'm going a little slower than I usually do. Okay, so when you're ready to start a new sketch. So a lot of times what you do is you build something and then you build on it. All right. So left click on your object and you get these 5 little options that just come up. Okay. I'm not going to go over these at this point in time. The only one I care about is the create sketch. So on your sheet where it says, you see the icon, it's create sketch. Okay. So here's what we're going to do with this. We're just going to click rectangle again. And I'm going to click on the origin. I like using what I've used. That's why I use the origin points. Now, if you move your mouse over all the way to the right, you'll see it snaps on to that 3 inches. That's what I want. If you prefer to type it in just so you know you're right and you're not guessing it, go ahead. I'm going to hit tab and I'm going to hit 2 and press enter. Okay. Once you get that done, once again, press your finish sketch. Now we're going to extrude, but I'm going to show you some few options. So as you're looking at the properties menu, there's a thing called a boolean. Okay. You're like, boy, what is a boolean? Well, I actually looked it up. Okay. You don't have to write this down, but a boolean is a system of algebraic notations used to represent the logical propositions, especially in computer electronics. It's a really fancy word. All right. You don't have to know that. But there's 3 different kinds on here. There's a join, there's a cut, and intersect. We almost always use join and cut. I rarely ever use intersect. So I'm going to hit join. Now, also the nice thing about Inventor, it does remember your last measurement. It's always the default on everything in the program. So I'm going to just use that. I'm going to make my life easy. So that's on the sheet. So once you do that, go ahead and press OK. I am out of time on this video. Go ahead, once you get this part done, maybe go back and do the worksheet, and we'll finish this up on the next one. Thank you.